Hey guys, welcome to our another student devotional. Today we are going to be talking about Noah. I'm glad you're here with me today. Hopefully you're doing well, enjoying this Saturday of fall weather that we have, and having a good time. So let's start off with a little would you rather, then we'll go into our memory verse and have our lesson on Noah, the man himself. The first question, remember, these are fun. These are questions that start a conversation, and they're perfect to ask to anybody. The first question is, would you rather have no TV, any form of television, no loopholes, for 2 years, or no sweets of any kind for 1 year? How much do you like chocolate? All right, second question. Would you rather have your hands 2 times as big or half the size that they are now? 2 times bigger, half the size they are now. And finally, would you rather eat a jar of mayonnaise or have a big glass of hot sauce to drink? 3 questions. I need 3 answers. Looking forward to hearing what you guys think of. And these are great questions to ask around the dinner table with your family too. Okay? Today our memory verse is coming from 1 John 2:15. 1 John 2:15 says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him." Lots of love words in this. Let's try it again. Do not love the world or things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. 1 John 2:15. All right. Today we're going to learn a lot about Noah. And I know when I say Noah, your mind goes to Ark. We're not there yet. Let's talk about the man himself first and what caused Noah to build the ark. Noah was about 1,000 years after Adam, the first man, was created. That's when Noah came onto the scene. He was from the line of Seth. Let me explain that. Adam and Eve had 2 children, Cain and Abel. Only unfortunately, Cain killed Abel. And evil as Cain was, God made there was that option, and then God had Adam and Eve have a third child named Seth. That way, the line of would not be through someone as sinful as Cain. And at the time of Noah here, the world was very corrupt and evil, sinful, filled with terrible, wicked, evil people. And it keeps getting worse. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Some of the men who were supposed to be good, godly men weren't acting that way. They were acting evil, just the same way as for Cain and Abel, just kind of similar to that, where Cain, who was supposed to be a godly person, killed his brother. And unfortunately for Noah's time, evil was spreading everywhere. And we're going to see how this affected God. So open your Bible to Genesis 6. And we're going to start reading the first 4 verses. When man began to multiply on the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were attractive. And they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not abide in man forever, for he is flesh. His days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came in to the daughters of the men, they bore children to them. These were the mighty men of old, the men of renown." All right, so we got a lot of unpacking to understand first before we can get into Noah. There were many people on the earth, many descendants of Seth, of Cain, many great descendants for them. And then there's two groups of people that we need to understand first. There are the sons of God, the daughters of men. All right? These two groups, these two phrases have a lot of people confused. Because it could mean a lot of different things. Especially the sons of God could mean a lot of different things. Some have some good points. Others have some bad points. Some make a little bit more sense than others. So here are some of the thoughts were that these sons of God were descendants of Seth. These were descendants of the righteous Seth, good godly men. Other people thought that they were kings from other nations. Kind of like kings that like to marry other women, multiple women. Polygamous is what it's called. So great rulers from other nations. And then finally, some other people think that these were actually fallen angels. Angels that had fallen from heaven on earth and now are marrying human women. And then, of course, the daughters of men, if some think that's the opposite. If the sons of God are from Seth, the daughters of men are from Cain. Or maybe it's just a generic term for woman or wife. Do we know? Well, we can use context clues to try to get a guess and understanding. But do we know? I don't think so. Most likely, in my opinion, this sons of God is a generic term for men because the sons of God were descendants of God, as in Adam was formed by God. He was as a son of God. Maybe it's just a generic term for men who are marrying daughters of men, which is a fancy way to say women. Could it be just generic and simple? Maybe. Could it be something more complex? Maybe. Do we know? No. What we need to understand, and we'll get from this, is while we may not know for sure, it's a matter of trust for us to know what God is telling us. That the setting of the story and the cause of why there is a worldwide flood is important. And then, of course, there is these Nephilim. Again, some people believe that the Nephilim were the crossbreed of fallen angels, the sons of God, fallen angels, and human women who produced extraordinary mythical stuff. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. Or maybe these were just large, mighty men, as they are described. They were mighty men who were of old. They were renowned. They were famous. They were great warriors. Maybe they had giantish-like features, like Goliath, that we see in 1 Samuel 17. Could be something simple. But the thing that we need to understand, this is the world that Noah is living in. A world full of sinful actions. A world full of unrighteous things. And in verse 5 and 6, we get a little more understanding of how bad it was. The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every intention of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And the Lord was sorry that he had made man on earth, and it grieved him to the heart. All right. Wow and wow. We're not totally sure, like I said, that's who these sons of God are. To me, it just makes the sense of these are just a generic term for men, women. But we understand the one thing about them. While we may not know perfectly the details of the background for these characters, one thing we do know, they were wicked. They were evil. Evil. No good intentions were in them. The Lord saw and knew every intention and every thought in their hearts and in their brain. And it was wrong. It was terrible. These were sinful people. And how does God know that? God knows every thought and every intention because He's all-knowing. God knows everything that we think, everything that we say, do. God knows all of it. He is the one who created us, and He is the all-powerful God. And as God, who understood everything that's going on, He knew how terrible it really was. And you know what? He didn't like it. Verse 6 tells us the Lord was sorry that He made man. Yeah. Human, us, we are His most special of all creation. You and me, of all the things that God created, as we see in the first few chapters of Genesis, humanity is His most special of all creation. And it was now evil. Evil, 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 and it made Him sad. It made Him sad. Now, when it clarifies, it says, and it said the Lord was sorry that He made man. This is not sorry as in, I regret that I ever did this. No. God did not regret. No. That regret implies that there's a mistake. God does not regret making us. Instead, that this sorry was more pain, was more, he was more pained, he was more sorrowful, he was grieved. He had this downcast, this saddened attitude that we get. And because seeing this, God's reaction to the evil that in the lives of men and in the world shows how much God cares for us and for our lives, that it caused Him to have such sorrow for us. That just shows how much He cares for us, how much He wants us to do good, to do well. And we weren't. These men weren't. They were doing evil. And it goes from there. Because of the evil in the world. Because of the evil world. Listen to verse 7 and 8. So the Lord said, I will blot out man whom I have created from the face of the land, man and animal, creeping thing, birds of the heaven. For I am sorry I've made them. Yeah. Because of the evilness of man and the actions and the choices of sin they're going through their lives in the world, God chooses to blot out man. And not just humanity, by the way, as you see. Any man who He created. Man, animals, creeping things, birds of the air. Gone. Blot out is a fancy word that we can say kill. God is going to destroy all these things. Why, though? Why is God going to totally destroy all of humanity? It's not because He was super angry. He was just offended by us. No. That's what a common thought is, that God gets so angry, God is so mad at us, He's just going to be like, click, restart. No. But instead, it's to preserve mankind. Because of the sin that is spreading all over, and because through the lives of the people, God is doing this to preserve the good that is left. Think of it like this. If a person has a gangrene, kind of like an infection of the arm, this where it's rotting away, normally a doctor would cut off the part that can't be saved in order so it will stop spreading and taking over the body. So and they would have then an amputated arm. That's what God is doing. He's taking off the infected part to save the body. Where he's doing that because of Noah. Listen to the final 3 verses. In verse 8, but Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a righteous man, a blameless in this generation. Noah walked with God, and Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, Japheth. Okay. Because of this virus of sin that's spreading throughout the world, God did this to save Noah. Noah, who is a righteous man, who is a blameless man, who walked with God. Does that mean Noah's perfect? Absolutely not. But that means that he was still righteous. He still had a relationship with God. And Noah is a special person because these terms that are used, righteous, blameless, walked with God, are described very rarely in the Bible in the Old Testament, where you can put righteous, Abraham. God called Abraham righteous. Or blameless, God called Job. And of course, walked with God, Enoch did that. Noah is in the small, very small set of people who are described like this. Noah is that special. Not perfect. Not perfect at all. And yeah, he had 3 kids. They're really not necessary to describe at this point. Just to let you know, he had 3 kids and a wife. And eventually the kids have wives. Okay? And yeah, Shem, Japheth, okay names. Ham is a weird name. Come at me. I don't care. It's a weird name. But we have to understand that this is a serious problem that's in the world. The sin in the world and in the lives of the people is a serious issue. And it still is today. But the only difference between Noah's time and ours is that Jesus Christ came to earth, lived and died so that we can be forgiven by taking our punishment on the cross, by being the payment for our sin. Jesus died so that we can be forgiven, so that we can have a relationship with him. And the people who lived in Noah's time were like Cain, evil Cain, Adam and Eve's son, wicked and evil in every way. They desired what was in the world. Prideful things, wealth, greed, dishonesty, pleasures. These are wrong things to want and to have as the most important things of your life. But not Noah. Noah was, remember, righteous, blameless, walked with God. Noah lived his life according to what God's will, what God wanted for us. And it's something that we should be doing too. By spending time in our Bible, by praying to him every day. That's how we know that we will not be influences by the wicked people around us, because we know what God wants for our lives, just like Noah did. We can live godly and righteous lives too, by being compassionate, honest, humble, kind. Hard values to have in a world today, isn't it? But these are what God tells us and instills us, and it shows us by example, just like Noah did. See you next time.